Hello everyone, and welcome to race day here in Suzuka, Japan. As always, I am going to be driving my Force India, and it is of course career mode. So you can see me there, just hopping into my car. Fortunately, not the best car on the grid as we discovered yesterday in qualifying. I only managed to get up to, was it 13th, 14th, somewhere around there. So we have a quick look through my setup. I had to do this yesterday, but I've taken now to doing it at the start of every video, just so you've got a reference there, so you can see exactly what I've been using. So there we go, that's for your reference there. So race strategy then, lap 5 I'm going to be pitting, starting on a set of options, going all the way to lap 5, and then going for a brand new set of the prime tyres. So going straight to track then. Once again, I will apologise for the lack of audio in this video. As I said yesterday, I have no idea what happened. It just for some reason messed up, but at least we got the video, and unfortunately obviously I can't go back and redo any videos, so since it's career mode there's no way going back. But anyway, here we are on the grid. The lights are coming on now, and I was in 13th, so hoping to make up for place on the grid if I can. 5 lights, I'm away, and as always, straight to rich mixture, minimising wheel spin and using a bit of curve, so moving straight over them. My teammate didn't get alongside me. Looks like I might be able to get a bit of advantage on here. Massa's going very much to the inside, so I can't. Oh, that didn't go well at all. I was thinking about going to the inside, but Massa was too much there. He braked very early, and I had to turn to avoid him. Lucky not to break my front wing, to be honest, but I'm still pushing, trying to squeeze between them now. Wow, that was close. Squeeze Rosberg almost onto the grass there. It's incredibly close. Oh, it's once again skimming the back of all these cars, aren't they? They're braking so early, being so cautious, being AI. Unfortunately, they do tend to do that. Whoa, there's a big crash behind me there. I think he must have come too close to me. I had to slam the brakes very wide on the grass, but I managed to just about keep all 4 wheels on, well, at least 2 wheels on the circuit and drag it back to having all 4 wheels on. So I'm up to 10th then. It's not a great start. Certainly would have hoped for more than that. If I'd have nailed that first corner, I probably would have been up a bit higher, but unfortunately, it didn't go well with Massa braking so early. I had to take avoiding action. Oh, as I've turned in way too early there. I winded up with corner cutting. That isn't actually an advantage since my tyres were grassy, and that made me slow on the exit. But I'm gaining on Schumacher here with a bit of curves that I've just used. Can I overtake him into this next corner then? Right in his slipstream. Need to pull out alongside him. I can indeed. Up the inside, braking very late, and I've got the move done there. Moving out very wide. I think he's still behind me. I didn't think I pushed him off. Oh, it's very wide once again. Nearly wind up on the gravel. There he is indeed still behind me, but he's alongside me. I'm going to squeeze him a little bit, and he's backed out of it. I did leave enough room, but I did squeeze him. I'm not going to allow him to just overtake me, as has happened before. I think it was just a quick race video I did at this very track. Vettel managed to get me into 130R, doing a very similar to move to what Schumacher just tried. So up to 9th then. I'm probably not going to be able to have the pace to catch anyone in front of me, but it's certainly worth a try. I'm not going to lie down flat anyway. Schumacher's close behind me there. I'm going to have to go to the middle of the track a little bit, but no, he's far enough behind me that it's not going to be a worry. So making a few corrections coming into turn 1 there. Trying to keep a nice tight line. I've nailed it there. I want to be just having 2 wheels on the inside curb, which is just what I did. So it's gone well. Through the S's now then. So lap 2 of 13. Of course, 13 laps here in Suzuka with a 25% race. And only P9 at the moment. So 2 points are on the board if I finish where I am right now. If I can, I'll be reasonably happy since, as I said, I started 13th, I think. So off the pace very much here with this circuit that demands downforce for the first corner. I have gone for a low downforce setup, but that does of course give me advantage in other areas of the track. So it's not a great track for this Force India, but I was ahead of my teammates, so it wasn't catastrophically slow anyway. So it's not been a great race so far, but we'll see what I can do. Perez isn't flying away from me in front of me anyway. I'm certainly not catching him, but he's not pulling away from me at a vast rate of knots, so I might be able to catch him. Perhaps if I'm quicker on the primes, and as long as I don't too much time, perhaps he might have a crash with the car in front of him or something. They might slow each other down by fighting with each other. Fingers crossed. So coming down the back straight now then. Coming in towards 130R. Straight through there, full throttle, nice and easy. Not difficult at all. Half a second, Schumacher's behind me, so it's very close. Now 2.5 back to Perez, so it's not been a great lap. Well, it's been an alright lap, but it's not going great. I've just not got the pace, unfortunately. So DRS is now enabled, which is a worry, because that means Schumacher behind me will have it, but he hasn't got it this lap. He's just gaining on me loads. Whoa, look at that. Luckily, they are rather stupid. Didn't even bother coming over then, because I knew he was going to back out of it at the last minute. But that worries me, because he didn't even have DRS then. So next lap, he'll have DRS if he's that close behind me. And he will probably have me if he's able to get that close to me. So I need to push hard, try and keep him away from me a little bit, if I can. as he looks about coming inside of me. That was a little bit close. Don't want it to be that close particularly. But there we go. It looks like, unfortunately, or fortunately for me, but unfortunately for the quality of this race, the AI don't get a good exit there to the S's. Looks like they try and sort of run up the inside of me almost and wind up getting a bad exit, so I'm gaining on them the whole time after that, right up to the end of the first sector. So that gives me a bit of advantage, which is good for me. I think I'm going to need it, because now Perez is definitely pulling away from me. So, as I said, I definitely haven't got the pace, so I'll be happy with 9th, to be honest, at the moment. Just need to try and keep it on the track and keep ahead of Schumacher behind me. I think I can probably do it, but he's certainly got the pace on me, so it's not going to be easy. But we'll see what I can do. It makes rather stark contrast, doesn't it, to the last race in Singapore, where, of course, I was in the lead, pole, and the race when I think I even got fastest lap. So, did the triple then, but it was not possible really here in Japan. So it's stark contrast, as I said. So 8 tenths to Schumacher to cross the line then, so probably is going to get DRS, but I think he's too far back to be able to do anything about it. DRS line is there, as you can see. So we probably have DRS now. Hopefully I'll look behind in a moment just to see. Couldn't quite see, he's too far back, but I probably has. He's only 9 tenths behind me as we cross the line, so be surprised if he hasn't. But he's very close behind me now. They gain most of the time on me, but half a second or so in quali in the S's. So that's where I'm losing most of my time, because I've got that low downforce setup, but of course I am gaining in the second and third sectors. Not a lot, but just a little bit, or at least equaling, so it pays dividends in the other sectors anyways. You saw there Schumacher running wide and having to get out of the throttle while I'm absolutely full throttle, so that's where he's losing time to me. What is he? He's 8 tenths at the end of the first sector, and he's certainly a lot closer than that before that last corner, so pushing very hard indeed. While we've got a bit of a lull in the excitement for the moment, I'll talk about my practice for the coming league race, which is going to be tonight, as you're probably watching this video, Sunday night it is going to be. So my practice isn't going great. I've only actually managed half an hour worth of practice on the Korean circuit so far, so it's not been a lot of practice at all. I certainly need to get some more in. Probably while you're watching this video, Sunday morning, early afternoon, ready for the race in the evening. I'm still hopeful for the win. I don't think I'll be off the pace. It's pretty rare I'm off the pace. Spa surprised me, the fact that I was off the pace in my league races. So, but I certainly need to get a few more laps in. Need to do a race practice. I usually do one. Was I cut a bit of the corner there on the chicane? I usually do a race practice, not normally the whole race. I usually just do the first stint. That's normally enough. So I might say qualify on the options, do the first stint, see how it goes. And if we get to say, you know, lap 10 or so without pitting, I know that I can do the whole race on one stop. Or lap 10 or 12, sometimes 14, depending on the amount of laps. But I think my indications are that it's going to be a 2-stop in Korea, but once again, I need to do some practice to find out. Otherwise, I'll be off the pace, and that'll almost guarantee me not winning. So, can't be having that. So, I need to get some pace in. Practicing, rather, to get some pace. I've already been doing low 38s in practice. So, that's around about probably top 3 that'll put me. If I can do a 38.0, top 3 or 4, I should imagine. But I know I can certainly go faster than that. 37s, maybe even low 37, but I really don't know. Like I said, the only thing I've done is a 38. But anyway, back to this race now. So we're on lap 5, and I am due to pit at the end of this lap. So I'm now pushing very hard. I think I've gone to Rick's mixture, pushing very hard to try and pull away from Schumacher behind me. As I always say, I need a few seconds ideally to him in order to be able to guarantee that he's not going to hold me up in the pits, because sometimes I'll come in to the pits and I'll have to be held in my pit box while Schumacher comes rumbling down the pit lane. So I have managed to put a bit of a gap though, so there was some time there with the rich mixture. I'm pushing harder. What's it going to be? Hopefully it's over a second. Looks like it might be. Yeah, 1.5 seconds. So pretty good there, my ability to pull out a gap. So I need to not mess up this final chicane, which I haven't done. So it's gone pretty well. Getting a nice tight line so I can get a good exit into the pits. Easily full throttle. So selecting the prime tyres then. You can see all the front runners there pulling out. Didn't really need to select the tyres there, but I always do, or usually do, just in case. There's been some mess up with the strategy and they put another set of options on, which means I'll have to pit again. So I'm down, and 5-second pit stop was quite slow, but I am still ahead of Schumacher just about, look. Not by loads. So rich mixture it is then. And yes, I'm definitely ahead of Schumacher. Who's that coming down the pit straight though? I think he's far enough back. Who was it? Not too sure. I'm sure I'll find out. Was that a Lotus? I think it's a Lotus, but I could be wrong. Might even be, I think it's Raikkonen, wasn't it, that I had an encounter with at the beginning of the race. Very close behind Schumacher, but not quite overtaking him. So my tyres are cold at the moment. I'm pushing hard to try and warm them up, and also, obviously, some people, not everyone's pitted, namely Rosberg, who I think was just behind Schumacher. He hasn't pitted yet, so I'm pushing hard now because I need to try and obviously not let him pass in the pits. That will not be good at all. And of course, I'm also trying to push to pull away from Schumacher because I'm usually a little bit faster than the AI. On cold tyres, I can handle them a bit better than they can. So, rich mixture then. Just making sure that I am definitely on rich mixture. Actually, I think I might have gone to standard at the beginning of this lap. But going to rich now to try and make sure that Rosberg doesn't overtake me. You can see on the minimap there. The blue would be Alonso, my rival. So I think there, the yellow is my teammate. So that will be Rosberg in there, in that pack. You should see them peel off to the pits now, do they? They do indeed. Yes, they do. There's a few cars just leaving the pits, so I won't be anywhere near them. But my teammate looks like he might even be able to sneak a point or two if he does very well, but I'll be surprised. Paul di Resta, I think, has only scored 1 point this entire season. We're at the 15th race, I think it is, so he's not had a great season. So coming up now then, look on the minimap. Looks like that one car slightly ahead. I'm probably not going to better catch him. No, during the first corner. But this other car, who is it? It's Rosberg there, look. And I've just about managed to get past him. That was pretty close, though, wasn't it? Another half a second back. And I probably would have been behind him, or at least on alongside him, and it would have been a lot more difficult. So it was certainly worth pushing and going to rich then on that last lap. But I'll now go to standard in the first sector to save fuel, since it barely makes a difference in this first sector in terms of what fuel you're running. Lean would probably make a bigger difference, but in terms of comparing rich to standard, it's not a lot different when there's a lot of corners like that. But it's only really straights like here that you really gain the time. Even that little straight there, this one you wouldn't gain anything on. This next little straight you gain a little bit on, so it's only really when you get your foot down for a few seconds that it really makes a difference. So when you're just jabbing the throttle through the S's in the first sector, it's make a difference. But Perez looks like he's very slow. What's happened to Perez there? In 8th position in front of me. He's pretty quick off the exit. He's got his foot down now, so he's maybe just had a little bit of a moment there. But he seems pretty quick now, so but that's certainly, I'm going to try and pounce on him. I'm going to save my curves for the long straight. Oh, as he's braked very early, though, and I had to dive at the inside of him. I accidentally pushed him. Well, I gave him enough room, but I accidentally pushed him wide. There, that was interesting. He decided to defend his position, even though he braked very, very early. I think he must have a problem, possibly a damaged front wing or something. He certainly had a problem there. He braked very early, didn't he? And he was very slow in that tight hairpin, so not sure what's happened to Perez there, but I'll take it. I didn't crash into him, luckily, otherwise that would have rather scuppered my race. So luckily I didn't crash into him, but that's at least allowed me to get up to 8th position, and Maldonado's miles in front of me there, as you can see on the minimap. We'll see a time in just a second. 7.3 seconds, so Maldonado's pretty much out of reach unless he has an issue like Perez did, or has a, goes off as a crash, but that's unlikely. So looks like 8th is going to be my finishing position. But as I said, happy that Perez unfortunately had his issue and gave me the position. That's good for me. Gave me an extra, is it 2 points? I think it's 4 points for finishing 8th, is it? I believe it is. Somewhere around there. It's certainly more than the 2 I was going to get for 9th position. And I've actually got a little bit of a gap to Rosberg now. So my pushing hard has actually enabled me to pull out from him a little bit. 200ths up my previous lap. 1.3 back to Rosberg, so he's actually outside the DRS zone, so need to push hard now then to try and hopefully pull a little bit more of a gap and feel a bit safer. So we're on lap 8 of 13 then, 5 laps left to go after this lap. Just having a quick flip through there, 2 laps spare of fuel, virtually no tyre wear, so tyre wear isn't going to be a problem at all for the end of this race. Just concentrating now on pulling a gap out from Rosberg. And coming down the long straight now, it looks like definitely looks like I pulled out a bit more, maybe even up to 2 seconds now. That would be nice. And I'm now taken to go into rich mixture on all the long straights, pretty much for the last. So this straight, I'll keep it on rich all the way till the first corner now, because it gains quite a bit of time. 8/10 of my previous end. That's obviously because I had that moment with Perez who slowed me down. So 1.99 seconds to Perez now. So indeed, more or less 2 seconds. I was within 1,000th of my estimate. That's not bad, is it? Not a bad guess at all. So 7.2 to Maldonado. So it looks like I might be able to maintain the gap to him, actually. That's interesting. I'll keep my eye on that, because Looks like I might have been slow on the option in the first place, but a lot quicker on the primes it looks like, which is interesting. But there we go. So it looks like I might be able to pull away from Rosberg a little bit more and have a nice little gap. Around 2 seconds is what you want, really, at least. Just so then, if he starts to gain on you, you can react. Because, of course, the 1 second gap is the time you want to avoid, because that's when he will start getting DRS. So if it's 2 seconds, once he starts trying to close the gap on you, you can usually realise before he gets too close and then put your foot down a bit. So 1.7, so gain 3/10 on me there. In fact, it's probably a bit more. I think the 1.9 was the second sector time, wasn't it? So he's gained some time in me anyway in the first sector. Not sure how much, but he certainly gained some, as I expected. But now into the second sector, then I'll probably gain a little bit on him. So 1.7 it was, wasn't it? So it was come through spoon curve now then. First part, second part. Trying to run a little bit wide there, trying to get my foot down early. Got to try and carry speed through that, as well as trying to get your foot down early. It's not easy, but there we go. So into the second sector then, what's it going to be? 300s up on my previous lap, so very consistent. And 2.3, so yeah, 6/10 up on Rosberg, and 8.1 to Maldonado now, so he's gained almost a second on me in a lap, so still couldn't maintain the gap to him, but I can pull out from Rosberg, interestingly, so not sure how that's worked out. But there we go, because usually I would expect Rosberg to be faster than Maldonado. But there we go, so 7.9 to Maldonado now then. So gain a little bit in the final sector, but realistically I wouldn't be able to keep up with him even though I was right behind him. So 2.8 more or less now to Rosberg. So, whoa, that was incredibly close. Got too much on the curb in the first corner there, and winded up getting some oversteer that I had to correct. That could have gone badly wrong. I could have winded up spinning it. That would have completely ruined my race, obviously. So I'm trying to push hard to pull away from Rosberg behind me. I know that Maldonado's out of reach in front of me, but I would still like to pull away from Rosberg, as I said, to get that nice safety gap. You can see I'm pushing hard there, wind up all over the curb. So 2.1 first sector, that's a big improvement. That's 4/10 up on the previous lap. So it's going pretty well. See if I can pull out an even bigger gap. Might even be able to get up to 3 seconds if I'm lucky. But we'll see. So also going to keep my eye on the gap to Maldonado, just out of interest. So around 8 seconds it was previous lap, wasn't it? Just over, I think it was. So what's it going to be now? Coming down the long back straight. Should be interesting. Just to keep you updated as well. Well, I've got a bit of a lower. In fact, I'll do this sector time first. 8.8, so yes, no chance of keeping up Maldonado. 2/10 of my previous, and 2.6 back to Rosberg. So just keep you updated on what I'm trying to do with the Real Formula 1 blog. I do really want to give you a guide to the 2013 cars. I want to give you a few pictures of the launches, a few pictures from the tests, tell you what they've updated, what's changed since last season, and give you my estimate, my guess really on the pecking order. Ready for Melbourne in just a few weeks now. I think it's 2 weeks today, as you're probably watching this video from Sunday. So it's not far at all, but I do really want to do that. There's quite a bit to tell you about with the new cars. A lot of interesting stuff going on. Things like double DRS, or whatever you want to call it. The passive DRS, passive rear wing stalling device is probably the technical term. A few more cars have got that. That's the one that Lotus was trialling for half of last year. There's a couple of interesting small innovations, nothing huge. And there's just generally some updates on the cars. Nothing huge that you can particularly notice though. So I want to bring you all that anyway, ideally. And as I said, unfortunately, it fell through with a photographer that I was trying to cut a deal with. But I've contacted a few more slightly bigger companies in the hope that, in theory, they'll probably charge more, but I'm just hoping that because they're bigger, they can afford to charge less, since they've probably got loads and loads of clients. So it's just going to be extra profit in their pocket. I'll possibly have a per picture basis, which might be cheaper, but again, it's not cheap at all. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I'll hopefully find out about that in the next couple of days. And I think once these companies get back to me, once they've got back to me, if they say no, or if they say it's too much, then that'll be pretty much it. I'm just going to have to come up with an alternative solution. Last year I did a quick race at the track. So say for Melbourne I would do probably a 25% race at the track, maybe a bit less. and talk a little bit about that race a sort of day or two after. So I might bring that back, but of course I need something to show for the testing. I might just do a few laps around Barcelona since that's where they're testing at the moment, but we'll see about that. But anyway, like I said, fingers crossed that I can cut a deal with a photographer, because I would love to bring you some real images, as I said, to show exactly what I am actually talking about, show you some of the interesting double DRS concepts, show you obviously all the new liveries. I'm sure people who are actually interested in what I'm on about have already seen it all with all the pictures and probably following the testing, but just love to keep you updated anyway and bring you my opinions and how I view it all. But anyway, back to this race now as we're on 12 of 13, so penultimate lap. Just one more lap to go after this one. And I've pulled out, looking on the minimap, a pretty good gap on Rosberg. So there's enough of a gap there. So he's not going to catch me now for the end of the race, but I'm now going for a fastest lap. I went to rich mixture for this lap, I believe. And I'm going to go for a fastest just to see what I can do out of interest. If I was able to go on rich for the whole race, what lap could I have done? Since my tyres aren't really worn, so half a second up my previous, that's a pretty good time. It's not bad at all. So braking now down into the final chicane. Ooh, so I brake a little bit early. Very nearly catch the bollards there. That was close. So end of the lap then was going to be half a second up indeed. So 38.5 was my fastest lap. I did have a little run where I was posting fastest laps by just literally a few hundredths per lap. I was improving. Very, very consistent few laps that I didn't actually pick up on when I was doing them, unfortunately, but I did pick up on them when I was racing, interestingly. And a couple of things I'll mention while we watch this final lap, as I conserve fuel a little bit to make sure I can get to the end and get to the end quickly. A few people have mentioned cockpit view. I will bring you another cockpit view video soon, possibly actually, in fact probably, if I'm forced to do a video with this game for the testing blog. I'll probably use it then, and probably in a race as well. Just a few of you are wondering why I'm not using cockpit view, and the reason I didn't use it this year was because of the mirrors. I was on a 10th up on this lap. I started using it, really actually quite liked it compared to last year. I thought it was a big improvement, but the mirrors are just completely awful. So since I couldn't use the mirrors, I thought, what was the point of being cockpit view? I might as well be in TCAM, which I do prefer. So I will do a cockpit view video again soon. I have done them in the past. If you look through my channel history, you'll probably find it somewhere. And there's over 100 videos in there now, so good luck with that, but it is in there somewhere. But the other thing, which I've forgotten now, no, it's gone, I can't remember what it was, but anyway, we're at the end of this race now, so am I up? I was 10th up in the first sector, am I up at the end of the second sector? I'm not, I'm 600ths down, so I've lost a 10th and a half somewhere in the middle sector, but that's not far off at all. I could probably still improve my fastest lap with a very good final chicane. It's been pretty good, but not quite perfect, but pretty good still. Can I improve it? It's the 38.592 I've got at the moment. Can I improve it? It's going to be a 38.6. No, I can't improve it, unfortunately. But there we go, so I'm not very happy there. Target was finishing 6th. I finished 8th. That's not bad from a grid spot 13th, I wouldn't say. Pretty reasonable result. Scored a few points. My rival Fernando Alonso finished 4th there, so indeed they're 16 seconds back from the leader. About 3 seconds or so ahead of Rosberg in the end. And 38.5 was my fastest lap, which was fastest of anyone behind me, but that's partly because I was holding them up, but certainly a lot slower than the guys ahead of me. Managed, so 4 points indeed, and my teammate there finished 15th. So those points gained by Alonso means 75 points behind him I am. So that's not gone great, and I'm now 7th in the Force India for the constructors, so I probably haven't really moved any on there. So I'm not very happy there. I can tell you now that there is a little marker, interestingly, in my calendar for career mode, and it says that in the next race I can actually win the championship. That would be if I was to win the race and Fernando Alonso was to score 0 points. So it's very unlikely, but I could possibly win it the race after, so I'll keep my eye on that. Anyway, as I said, there's a league race tonight, so that video should be coming either Tuesday or Wednesday. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.